Yes, there were high expectations for the New York Yankees, but once again, disappointing results for the Bronx Bombers after the dreadful performance last night in the AL Wild Card game, losing 6-2 to the Boston Red Sox. So, what does it mean for the New York Yankees this offseason? Is Aaron Boone's job in jeopardy? We'll have all those answers next on Keys to the City.
Yeah. Keys to the city, baby. When you see us, so you know you really viewing greatness in the making. Double up on facts we stating. Podcasting, cruise control, city, state, the nation. So what you saying, what we saying, prime information. Facts, keys to the city, we unlocking the statements.
Streaming every Friday.
And ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Clovercrest Media presents Keys to the City. We're streaming on all social media platforms, so comment, like, subscribe, or share. We were here yesterday talking about the much-anticipated AL wildcard, and we were hoping for better results. But as it's come natural for us New York fans, and yes, I'm talking about the New York Giants, and I'm talking about the New York Yankees, the results have become almost – we've come accustomed to it. It's become a natural thing recently for the New York Yankees. High expectations once again coming into this season. But once again, gentlemen, we have disappointing results. And you see, and I'm not going to – first I want to say congratulations to the Boston Red Sox. They were the better team last night. They were much deserving of winning that game. But you have seen year in and year out from this New York Yankee team. And – we're just hoping to try to get to a World Series at this point. It's become like that now. We're just hoping that let's not take a step back. Let's try to take a step forward. But since Aaron Boone has been the New York Yankee manager, the Yankees have gone back ever since their 2017 ALCS. And it's just disappointing, guys. We've talked so highly about this team. And to see the same results year in and year out, it's become natural to us. Joe, I'll start with you. You look at last night's game, had some opportunities, definitely, especially that sixth inning, and another blown opportunities for the New York Yankees.
Yeah, well, look, the thing of it is, this has been the same team since 2017 for the most part. You added Giancarlo in 18, you added Cole last year, but, basically the same team, basically the same philosophy. And it's failed every single year. And we've known that. And we know these guys don't get on base. They don't create runs. I think I texted you guys last night after the sixth inning. Everybody's swinging for the fences. You're not hitting a 3-run homer with nobody on base. I mean, to watch the Yankees at-bats after the sixth inning last night, that was horrendous. Everybody was trying to hit a home run. Everybody was swinging early. Brett Gardner stinks, by the way. Brett Gardner absolutely embarrassed himself last night.
The whole team kind of, other than Stanton.
No, Brett Gardner looked like he had never held a bat in his hand before last night. That's how stupid he looked. That's got to be his last game in a Yankee uniform. We're done with that. That guy doesn't do anything. He really doesn't. Nothing. Here's the other thing, and I talked about this yesterday, and it blew up in their face. Andrew Velazquez at shortstop paid 0 dividends. Higashioka behind the plate, worthless. So all these, and then obviously Odor at third. I mean, that easily could have been, Tyler Wade. It could have been anybody. But again, this idiot goes into these games thinking defense, and Teddy even brought it up. D, you want a good defensive lineup. Again, at what point does defense come into play for the Yankees? It never does. It never does. They needed Gary's bat in that lineup. They needed the boppers last night, and they got another absolutely pathetic performance. Gerrit Cole was a huge disappointment, obviously. And the bullpen, I think, did what the bullpen does in some of those games when they're not good, is during those stretches where they didn't play well and they didn't pitch well.
Yeah.
Run here, a couple runs there, and then the game's out of hand, and you're swinging for 3-run homers to lead off an inning.
And here's the thing.
That's what's wrong.
And I also, Ted, before I get to you, here's the thing about the whole Nevin decision. It literally, kind of defines the Aaron Boone era. There's a lot of overthinking when I think of that coaching staff, when I think of the lineup that Aaron Boone put in and the lineups that he's put in the past in situations like this. The move that Nevin made last night, telling Judge to go, sending him home, it just shows that what this coaching staff ultimately is, and it's an overthinking type team. And this is why they've had these issues, and this is why we've talked about it for the past 4 years, or why the Yankees, since that 2017 ALCS magical season, they have had their results going down and going down and going down. It hasn't gotten any better. Yes, they had the ALCS one game with the Astros, that series, but if you think about it, lost in 18 to the Red Sox in the ALDS, last year in the ALDS, this year in the wild card game. I mean, we're lucky that they even made the playoffs with the way this team was. You just look at that Nevin move. It's not shocking because this is what this coaching staff has come to, what we've come to see, and that's overthinking with big decisions in hand.
It took the momentum away. That play
it killed the whole game. It killed the whole game for the Yankees.
Let's start with a little breakdown of the game just before we really do the changes. All right. So we start the first inning. What did we talk about yesterday? We got to get on them first, right? We got to jump on them first. Get the momentum. Take the crowd out of it. We didn't do that. Again, our starting pitcher wasn't really ready to pitch. You could tell he was overthrowing. You don't have to be an expert in baseball person to understand that he was trying to throw the ball through the wall. You know how they say some guys are throwers and sometimes some guys are pitchers? He was a thrower last night, was not a pitcher. You could see it. I mean, even A-Rod was talking about it early in the game that he was overthrowing. And you could see he had lost his command early. And that's something that I feel like I've noticed with the Yankees, especially on those one-game playoffs. We see, Joe, we talked about it with Severino a couple of years ago in the home game against Minnesota. It was really juiced up. I think the crowd got to Cole last night. I don't know if it did. Listen, maybe he didn't have his best stuff. We talked about it yesterday, Joe. You had the stats. You said the last 5 games. I got more condensed. 3 games. He had given up 15 runs in the last 17 and 2/3 innings. So he had not pitched well down the stretch. He's still a really good pitcher. Did you guys – I'll just throw off the whole subject. Did you guys end up hearing the snaps I sent you guys last night when I was on the ESPN radio?
I mean, I was in bed.
I know, but did you hear him at all today? Did you listen to any of them?
I listened to what you talked. Yeah, I saw your Snapchat, you posted it on your Snapchat story of one of the conversations.
One had blamed Boone, one had blamed the players. Listen, the players play. One guy had said, talking about Boone not being able to get the best or the most out of his players in crucial games. Now, I don't know if that's Boone's fault. I don't know. I don't know if a different manager, if it was Buck Showalter, if he's able to get that extra inch. I don't know. No one really knows that. But the first start of the game, Cole doesn't pitch well. All right, he has Devers 1-2, then 2-2, then 3-2, and he walks. And you're like, here we go. You know what I mean? And you got to be able to get him out. And then you get Bogaerts, and he leaves the change up to the middle of the plate. He hits the home run. They get the juice. They get the lead. The crowd's into it, and they kind of never look back. So. And it just felt like we were always playing catch up with them. And then Trev, you said it, the Nevin play, it
shouldn't even be about that one play, but
it's not about one play, but when I look at the culmination of the game.
That's an altering change in play for that team with their big bats coming up big again. Giancarlo Stanton. Yankee fans don't ever bash Giancarlo Stanton. For the past 2 postseasons, this man has literally tried to carry us to greatness, and he's literally been doing it by himself. So to see, once again, the big boys come to play. Judge played his game. Stanton, once again, delivered. It's just, you look at this coaching staff, you look at all the pieces. Everyone else might as well should have been just 9 against 2, because that's what it felt like. I mean, Rizzo had the home run and really felt like, okay, here we go. That's the inning. It felt like we got something going.
Listen, I don't like the lineup. I didn't like the lineup thing. It was to Joe. I said you the lineup, and you're like, what are we thinking again? Listen, I'll tell you one thing. It almost, though, he was taking a replica of Cora. Did you see Cora's thing? It was almost similar. He moved Schwarber to the leadoff, which Schwarber doesn't really lead off for them. He usually bats 4th or 5th. I felt like he was almost trying to replicate what Cora had done, because they even talked about Cora's lineup last night was more defensive than the normal lineup they would have what they usually put out on a regular basis. Now, maybe that was because JD Martinez was not in the lineup as well. But, you have Rizzo thing when Glaber's been leading off, and then here's my other problem. I know we're going to get into it, Trevor. It was one of the questions. Joey Gallo. He's batting cleanup. The only thing he should be cleaning up is going back to Joe, he's an automatic out. He is an automatic out.
And Joe, you look at all this right now with the way this season came to an abrupt end. This is year 4 or year coming up, going to be on year 5 of this whole little
can't win playoff games, home run and strikeout.
To see them once again fail in a win or go home situation offensively. The pitching kept them in the game at times, but to see them, the big name players, Cole, that was one of the big questions we talked about yesterday. Paid him all the big bucks for moments like this, and he failed miserably as an ace, as we call him an ace in this game, and he failed miserably. Joey Gallo, I said this when they traded for him. Why the hell are you even trading for this guy? This guy's a complete bum. I don't care if he had 40 home runs. He batted 199. He's an automatic strikeout, fly out, or if a home run. 2 of the 3 are bad. So that's what Joey Gallo's life is. That's what Joey Gallo has been. Congratulations. He has a great freaking arm. Well, awesome. There's a lot of guys that have that in baseball. I want to see a guy that's going to hit when we need him to. There's a reason why he's batting 4th. Okay? Help out Judge. Help out Stan. This whole team needs to look in the magnifying glass and figure out what the hell are we going to do for next season, because they can't come in next season with this same core. They have to change something up. Don't know what that is. I'm not going to be one of these blasphemous Yankee fans that say, let's just go trade for everybody good and that's going to solve our problems. No, they have to really look in the mirror and figure out what's going to be best for this New York Yankee team. And one of the main questions, and it has to be the number one question going in to this offseason, is it time to move on from Aaron Boone, gentlemen?
No, I don't think so.
Hold on. Joe,
first of all,
let Joe.
First and foremost, no Yankee manager has ever gone to year 5 without having a World Series title under his belt. So for that reason and that reason alone, that's going to come up and they're going to beat that down in the papers or on the internet or wherever they're going to do it over the next couple of weeks. That's what everyone's going to be talking about. Here we go, year 5. No one else has gotten a year 5 as a Yankee manager without putting one of the books. So he's going to have to overcome that. You guys were talking about Alex Cora and the fact that, again, Aaron Boone is trying to outmanage Alex Cora before the game even starts. And then once again, what we saw was Alex Cora be successful in the move that he makes, and Aaron Boone's, again, coming up short.
Similar to Kevin Cash.
Once Cole left the game, there was no reason for Kyle Higashioka to be in there. Gary Sanchez getting one at-bat and hitting a bullet makes me feel like what would 3 or 4 at-bats have looked like out of Gary last night, who was clearly amped and ready to go. He wasn't going to do any worse of a job with Gerrit Cole on the mound. So there's that. Andrew Velazquez, also next to worthless. The whole bottom of that Yankee lineup last night, 0 for 9 with 7 strikeouts.
It felt like once you got by Judge and Stanton, if you were the Red Sox, all you had to do was get by those 2 guys.
And this is what I've been talking about so much this year, where, the value in Gallo was him hitting 6th and being a threat to Walker hit a home run. Him at 4 is terrible.
Not a
terrible.
No.
Well, Andrew, look, the LeMahieu thing hurt him. That's a big gaping hole. That you could have had Glaber lead off.
But they had JD Martinez out, which is their best cleaner, so they had no excuse on their side.
Absolutely.
Here's my thing. I thought A-Rod summarized this team perfectly at the end of the thing, and he broke down the Joey Gallo. He loved the Rizzo guy. He thinks he brings great defensive first baseman, and he's a contact hitter. And he's all right. So he fits the Yankee lineup, something that the Yankees need.
Yes,
right?
The Yankees should resign him.
But he goes, he never understood the Joey Gallo move because you already had enough strikeout, miss, walk guys. They say, oh yeah, he gets on base, walk. I don't need a walk guy. I need guys to make contact.
You guys went after me. I said the same thing the day they traded for him. I said, what the hell are we doing? It's the same Yankee move. It's
this. Joe, you talked about this before, even when we got Stan and we were down at Stan. You got the same square block. Like, you got the same piece. We got the puzzle. You need different pieces to come together. Listen, I said something last night. I would rather have two guys that can only hit home runs and a bunch of guys that all they do is swing away and make contact and slap base hits all along the day than waiting for the home run all the time, because during the regular season, wins you 98 games. Boone's averaged 98 wins in his career. But where are the wins in the playoffs when it matters? Joe, you spoke on Cora, trying to outmanage Alex Cora. Joe, haven't we talked about that with Kevin Cash, trying to be the Rays when he's not the Rays? Just be yourself. Stop being so analytics. Don't try to overthink. I agree with you wholeheartedly now that I think about it. Once Cole comes out, all right, put Gary in. You're already down. Higgy's not going to do anything now. Gary at least can put the ball over the fence and give us an opportunity. And so the defensive game is out of the question once you're down. You're up 5-1, and you want to put Higgy in, and you want to keep him. Not a problem. Totally understand it. You're down, play nothing. Listen, I want 5 Randy Mosses on the field. I know they're not going to block them, but we need a big play down the field. Let's throw the bomb all day. That's what we needed. And we didn't get any of that. Gardner, upsettingly, last game ever as a Yankee probably. Who knows? He has a player option. I have all that information now.
If the Yankees it's time for the Yankees to make – I'm sorry. It's like you got to just say, hey, thank you for your time being. Thank you for helping us out. But
I think it's almost time to cut the cord to the 2009 team, and he's the lone holdover at this point.
Joe, I think
and maybe it's better to let him go. This is a whole new team where no one's won it.
There's about 5 or 6 players on this team that I would keep, and everybody else should be available for trade. Or one of them, 2 of them are the behemoths in Judge and Stanton. Rizzo's got to stay.
You're keeping them.
Hold on.
Hold on. I'm disagreeing with you.
Hold on.
Just
Rizzo.
go with it.
Oh my God. Shut up.
Just go with it.
Yeah, go with it. Yeah, keep talking. Anyways, so this is what I would do. Those 3, you still got to keep Cole, because you have to keep an ace like him. You have to keep – I think Jonathan Loaisiga, you have to keep. He's a valuable asset in that bullpen. And everybody else, honestly, hell, if you want to keep Gary, okay, we could keep Gary. But other than that, that's all I'm keeping on this team right now, Joe.
Let me just throw this out there. And then, Ted, I could see you're dying to talk, so jump in.
Yeah, of course. What a surprise.
The question – hold on. This is legit. The question is, if it's time to move on from Aaron Boone, if it's time to move on from Gary Sanchez, who do we go out and put into those 2 very important spots? Because I know shortstop, there's a pretty good list of guys. One of those guys is going to get a lot of money to come to New York to be the shortstop.
Yep.
You think
whether that's Correa or Story, someone's coming here to be our shortstop.
You think so? Both of you think so? You think
there's too many good shortstops in this free agency class to not pick up one of them.
So let me say this too. Listen, for everybody talking about the greatest season ever by Ohtani, I don't love the 257 batting average, nor do I love the 264 lifetime batting average. And to me, the Yankees need somebody who's the opposite of that. That's just me hating for a minute. But whoever the shortstop is that has the highest lifetime batting average is the guy I would most be interested in.
Well,
the
Yankees, not gonna be Correa.
I told you, I was having an argument the other day with a Red Sox fan who was like, we only have like 3 guys hitting over 300. And I was like, we don't have anybody sniffing it. As good as Judge is, he's like, 20 points away from 300. We had nobody close. That's a huge problem.
It's just go ahead.
Charles, your buddy Charles, he's a Red Sox fan, right?
No.
No, he's a Yankee fan.
Charles, are you joking? Buck Showalter. I like Buck. Buck, you need Buck on a team of youngsters, not a team of veterans.
Joe, maybe Buck is what this – listen, we want Joe Girardi.
They would hate him, and I don't think that would work out.
Bring back Girardi.
I think Buck would be good.
Girardi's showing his stripes in Philly that he's not a great manager, and he's not.
I think Buck could get this team a championship, but he's not a long future guy. He's a guy where you better have his backup on the bench. You know what I mean?
Well, right now, the manager right now for the New York Yankees hasn't been working. We've talked about his issues for the past 4 or 5 years of the same BS that we've talked about. It's literally been the same thing. Overthinking, trying to match the other manager. It's just bad decisions after bad decisions. For a team that's so talented and one of the most talented teams in baseball, not named the LA Dodgers, to get beat by a team that, in all fairness, ladies and gentlemen, coming into this year was in rebuild mode. The Boston Red Sox should not be in the situation that they are, but a hell of a job to this franchise for what they've been able to do. And I'm not even – and Alex Cora and that team in general for what they've been able to do to see them going against the Tampa Bay Rays now for a team that was in rebuild and projected fourth in the AL East. Bravo to them, and to a team that's supposed to be one of the favorites of winning a World Series to having the same disappointing result. It's time to make a move. I'm not talking about if you want to keep the lineup, you want to keep players, fine. That's okay. But this coaching staff that we've talked about on numerous occasions, it's time to make a switch. It's time to find something because Aaron Boone –
is Mike Scioscia still around?
How about we think about the GM? Because the GM is the one that puts the pieces. He's the one that traded for Joey Gallo. Cashman's the one that put Joey Gallo on the team. He's the one that traded for Stan. Now, I have no problem with Stan. I said it last night. I said, Dad, did you see Stan's home run? He goes, oh, he hit one. I go, yeah. He's the only one that really hit last night. He's the only one that's hit in the last two playoffs, okay? He's the one that makes the trades. He's the one that signed Corey Kluber. He's the one that brought in James Talione, okay? He's the one that puts the pieces there. It's Aaron Boone's job to now take those pieces and get the most out of them.
And now, those two have failed us.
100%. Listen, it's not the chess manufacturer's fault, right? The guy who made the chessboard's not – that's not who you're pissed at when you're playing. It's the player.
Those two have failed us.
Well, here's my thing. If you're going to get the shortstop –
No. Brian Cashman hasn't failed anybody or anything.
I think
and for anybody to blame, listen, this team needed left-handed power bats, and he went out and got the two best ones that he could get.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with you.
This guy, year after year, goes out and he gets them what they need. Again, my thing is, this is the guys in the dugout. Phil Nevin should be fired this morning. Not just for this Aaron Boone thing, but 22 guys thrown out. Who's giving everybody the freaking go sign? Phil Nevin, get him out of there. He's a bum.
The third base coach for the Royals. They were tied for the most thrown outs on the base paths with the Royals this season. Jeff, I don't know if you saw that. Here's my thing with the Yankees, though.
Yeah, with a last place loser team. That's who the Yankees were ranking with running the bases. Bad news.
Trev,
get him out of there.
Did you want to know who the free agents are on the Yankees roster right now? Did you even care? I'm just asking.
I mean, I know Rizzo's a free agent.
It's Anthony Rizzo, Corey Kluber, Lucas Luigi, and Andrew Haney. He's gone. Kluber's gone. Maybe they bring back.
The only one you're bringing back is Rizzo. You need to have a first because they're going to get rid of Voit, so you're going to need a first baseman, and Rizzo is an ideal fit there defensively.
Yes. Now here's the thing, which I don't think you realize, and I did not realize. Brett Gardner has a weird contract. His $2.3 million player option, which turns into either a 7.5 club option or a 1.15 million buyout if he declines. So the Yankees will have to figure out what they do. I think they got to get rid of Gardner. Listen, I love him. Appreciate everything you've done for us. You've been a stellar, hard-nosed player, but your time has come out. Play too many games. Get rid of Aaron Hicks. Judge and Stan are my outfielders. Let's get Greg Allen playing a little bit more. All right. Enough for the Clint Frazier era. Let's move on from that. Gio's our third baseman, or you can move him to shortstop if we want to go get a third baseman. Glaber's, I don't know what you want to do with Glaber. I think they're probably going to have to trade him. DJ's your second baseman. Rizzo's your first baseman. Gary's your catcher. Also, we got to think about the bigger picture. Let's get Severino and Cole for a whole season. Let's get our 1 and 2s. Let's get Montgomery as our number 3. Nestor Cortez, there's your number 4. There's promise with this team. The problem is we have to do it in the playoffs. I see good pieces there. I think a change in the manager and a couple little tidbit changes on his team, and we should be right back where we are next year in the same position. Just this is what I would say. Let's win the division so we don't have to face these one-game wild cards. Because baseball's a marathon, not a one-game playoff, and it shows that the Yankees are better on the long stretch than they are in a one-game series. And last night was the most strikeouts they had since the 2004 Game 7 ALCS.
I did bring up yesterday that I was concerned that this offense, the way they played, finished against the Rays, it was a bit concerning. And once again, from this weekend's play, escalated and translated or transitioned into the one-game playoff. So that was just a big concern for me too. And once again, it ended up being the same result that we've seen in the past couple of postseason closeout games. They don't score. They don't hit. Last year, losing 3-2 The year before, losing to the Red Sox, only scoring a couple runs. Astros losing, only having 4 runs in that game. It's just been how it is this year. It's 2 runs. It's how the Yankees finish. They just can't win, especially it's a closeout game. Their offense goes silent, and there's got to be some sort of changes. What those are going to be, I don't know what they should be, but they really have to look in the mirror and start figuring out those changes sooner than later.
Well, look, here's the other thing I think you're looking at is Luis Severino is healthy and will go into camp as a legit number 2, maybe even a 1B to Gerrit Cole, which moves Tyone to your 3 spot, Montgomery to your 4 spot, and all of a sudden, maybe Herman in the 5. This rotation is pretty good.
With Lewis Heel, with Michael King, with Domingo Herman.
Yeah.
I mean, the pitching next year should be no issues. You're going to have
great this year. They led the American League starting pitching wise in ERA.
You're going to have a Weiser.
Listen,
the key will be contact hitters next year, Trev. Guys that you can come in and bring in there and contact, like a Mariano Duncan, somebody who can make contact. Like, can you just give me a hit every other at bat?
It's so funny that you bring up Mariano Duncan, because the Yankees won the World Series with Mariano Duncan as their second baseman. And George Steinbrenner hated that. George Steinbrenner hated Mariano Duncan. He thought the Yankees should have a higher profile second baseman. Hated Duncan. And they went out and got Chuck Knobloch. And eventually the problems with Knobloch, and they exist to this day. He's an absolute mental case, head case. And he follows me on Twitter, which I love.
Does he really?
I follow him. He does. He follows almost everybody, Trev. So no compliment to me, but it's still cool.
You should tell him he's a mental case. You might get attention from him.
Yeah, right. Listen, here's what the Yankees need. I like the idea of bringing Rizzo back. I think Gary's going to be your catcher again next year. You got to move Glaber. There's no place for him anymore. And if you got to package him and Miguel, I almost said Cabrera, Miguel Andujar and Clint Frazier like you should have done 4 years ago to go try to get anything for it at this point, then do that. Okay? You're going to have a new shortstop. I don't know what his name is yet. He's going to be great. Urshela comes back, hopefully has a healthy season. He was banged up all year, had COVID. He's going to be fine. The outfield for next year, I know you don't want to hear the name, but Aaron Hicks is still under contract for 27 more seasons. He's not going anywhere.
Well, they should.
No, he's going somewhere. He is not coming back. He is not
rehab.
They should trade him and
Judge is your center fielder.
Just go trade him for some peanuts and Cracker Jacks.
Listen, they're going to probably bring back Joey Gallo because he's still under contract. Let's get Greg Allen up there. He was a guy that made contact and made plays on the base path. Tyler Wade is going to be brought back. Andrew Velasquez is going to be brought back. Those are guys that you want on your bench. They're hard-nosed, blue-collar guys. They're going to make plays for you in the field when they're going to get their 1 or 2 chances during the week. Wade, every time he's on base, he scores a run. He steals bases, can play infield and outfield. Velasquez, let's get him learning how to play third and second so we can use him like DJ over the field.
I think they first really need to, before anything. They got to figure out.
Well, here's the other thing. Joey Gallo is under contract for next season.
Yeah, so he'll be coming back.
So Joey Gallo has to play somewhere
left field
next season.
Left field, center field's Judge. Right field is a mix of Greg Allen, Stan, and whoever else. And maybe they pick up another outfielder. Or listen, Joe, you've said it. Say it, Florio. Maybe you give him a shot. I mean, come on. How many times are we going to talk about this?
I think the first thing,
give him a chance.
The Yankees, after what they first need to figure out realistically before any of that, is if Aaron Boone is going to be the manager for next year's team.
Of course, because he dictates who's going to be on.
Well, they have to figure that. They got to figure out soon enough. I'm pretty sure they're having meetings. I mean, me personally, you know how I feel about it. I would be a little stunned if he was still managing the New York Yankees come next season.
Listen, if he's not fired by tomorrow, he's not getting fired.
I would say by the end of the week.
I would
say by the end of the playoffs.
If he's not fired by tomorrow, it's not going to happen. They would have already let him go if they were going to do that.
I don't know how they could just sit there and say this is going to be the guy again because, I mean, if anything, you guys want results, right? We're the New York Yankees. We want championships. Well,
You know
since
what
he's
the
been there, we haven't even sniffed the AL. We
You know
haven't
what the
even got a
devil's
chance to
advocate
sniff
answer is going to be? He's been able to keep the boat afloat when all the waves have crashed over with everything that's going on with injuries and COVID. That's the devil's advocate answer to that is he's been the even keel guy when the waves have crashed over that he's able to keep the boat from rocking. Listen, I know that's not the answer you want to hear. I'm trying to play devil's advocate to your point. You know what I mean? With all the nonsense and all the BS in New York and all the injuries and everything, he's the one that's kept everything even keel from day one.
I agree. He's kept it even keel. Well, he hasn't given us a championship either, so I don't
Listen,
give a crap
I'll ask you
about
a quick question, Trev.
I don't care
Do you
about the
guys
even
blame
keel
him or you
stuff. I
blame the
want a
players?
championship.
Do you blame the players or do you blame him?
It's a combination of everything.
No, do you blame him or the players? Either
It's
or.
a combination. Well, I can't answer your question with your famous line. It's a combination of both. It's the offensive not coming up in the clutch and not hitting when we needed him to. The pitching, our ace was on the mound last night. Gerrit Cole struggled. And Aaron Boone, we talked about the same thing. Aaron Boone overthinks a lot when making decisions. And it just saw last night. And it's been like that since he's been the manager. Yeah, he's got 100 wins, multiple 100-win seasons. That's great. Yeah, he's been to the playoffs. But as a New York Yankee, and I've always said it, this is not the Pittsburgh Pirates or something like that or Kansas City Royals. Yeah, it's amazing when you get to the playoffs for a franchise like that. That has been struggling.
I think they bring it back.
That's not for the Yankees. That's not good enough for the New York Yankees. The New York Yankees, it's like the Dallas Cowboys. It's like the Los Angeles Lakers. You're one of the most hated, most loved franchises for reasons because you win championships, and that's what you're supposed to do. And that's why another failed season. This is another disappointing season. This might be the most disappointing season of the Aaron Boone tenure because of the fact that we felt like a good opportunity was there for the taking to win a championship. And once again, we didn't even get a chance to get to the ALDS this year. The results have taken a step back each year as Aaron Boone has become the manager. That's why I don't care if he's been even keel. I don't care if there's been situations with COVID and stuff like that. Look, everybody else has had to deal with it. I don't care. They've had to deal with it too for the past 2 years, just like every other freaking person in this world has. I'm sick of it. He hasn't given us a championship. It's time to move on. I know there may not be a better option right now, but you have to look and you have to seriously consider it because right now, after last night's performance, the same performance and result since he's been the manager, it's what else as a Yankee fan do you want more than a championship? That's what we want. As a Yankee organization, you want championships. It hasn't been around since 2009. They have to start figuring something out.
Let me address
they let go of Girardi when he got to the – I mean, if we even said it that year. If he was winning the World Series, they were still going to fire him. But we're not going to fire this guy. Why? Because, he's a nice guy. He's a good yes man. BS. Bullshit. They need to make they need to do something different because it hasn't worked.
I want to speak to the Luis Severino thing, and I know it's frustrating. He pitched 3 games in 19. He didn't pitch at all in 20. He threw 4 games this year. He looked fantastic in all 4 games this year. If you go to baseballreference.com and look up Luis Severino's numbers, he was outstanding as a rookie. He had that tough sophomore year, came back, won 14, then won 19, is an ace pitcher in Major League Baseball. And he's even more lethal out of the bullpen.
He has all the tools. He has all the tools.
Yeah. I don't have any concerns about Luis Severino and the pair Severino off with Cole. I most certainly think that's a 1-2 that could go up against anybody in baseball, assuming that Cole has some spider tack. I agree. I see comments, Hal won't fire him. I think Hal is soft. Hal doesn't know what he's doing, and he doesn't know much about baseball. For a guy who grew up around his father, he doesn't really know what he's doing. And I feel like, much like the New York Giants with the Maras, where you have a nice kid. John Mara's a nice fella, nice enough guy. Total moron when it comes to the sport of football. Hal Steinbrenner's not a great baseball man. And it's been easy to just sort of keep daddy's guys around like Brian Cashman. And just hope things are going to, same thing the Giants are doing. We'll just keep all the people dad had and everything should work out fine. But as we like to point out often, that was like 10, 20 years ago. These are different sports now than what they were when your dads were running those teams. It's time to get like some good baseball people in there. People in their 50s. Anybody under 50 is still kind of an idiot.
Ted, you got anything?
I mean like the Wonder Boys, the analytics guys. If I'm going to get a baseball guy who's 41, no, I don't want that guy.
No, we don't want. Don't say the A word, Joe. Don't say
I need a guy in his late 50s. A guy who knows who Mickey Mantle is, but doesn't think that Mickey Mantle is the be-all, end-all of 2021, because he's not.
Ted, what do you want to finish up with?
Nothing. The question was underperform, overperform, they underperform. They underperformed. There was no excuses in this playoffs. They had done everything they needed to.
They've underperformed the past 4 or 5 years.
This team should have won 115 games this year with the lineup that they had and the pitching that they had.
Listen, you lost 8 games to the Royals, which was the difference in first place in the division, where the Rays only lost 1. They were 18-1. The Yankees lost 8. So there's the 7-game difference. Here's my problem. You got to look at the bigger picture too. The long story. The Blue Jays are going nowhere. The Blue Jays are going nowhere with that lineup. The Red Sox will only be better next year with Sale full strength and healthy, and they're going to make some moves in the offseason. It's inevitable. Schwarber for a full season. Here's my biggest thing is you got to compare everyone's like big three, right? You look at the guys, with the Red Sox, it's Bogaerts, Devers, and Martinez. They're pretty clutch, all right? You look at the Blue Jays, Vlad, maybe they'll bring back Marcus Semien, Bichette. Those guys are pretty clutch. You know what I mean? You look at the Rays, I don't know who their big three is, but everyone on their team always seems to be clutch.
Austin Meadows, Brandon Lowe, maybe Randy Arozareni.
They bring Nelson Cruz back again, Troy. But that division, again, is going to be stacked. And you're going to have another 4 teams next year, again, probably winning 90 games. So whatever the Yankees do choose to do, they got to find guys that are clutch. They don't have to be great players. They just have – Brocious wasn't a great player, but he was clutch when he needed to be. You got to find the right piece. I think
here's the thing about that.
Is fine. The main core of this team is fine.
When the Yankees got Scott Brocious and acquired Tino Martinez.
I didn't even know who Scott Brocious was other than he played for the A's and he was a 220 hitter.
And then he played for the Yankees, that's what I'm saying.
And he was a gold glove
he
guy.
didn't exactly jump to mind as like, hey, it'd be good at third. That 203 hitter because he's super clutch. You know what I mean? You're either clutching those big spots or you're not. And you make a great point because it does seem like every time we face Toronto, those guys do come up with the big hits.
So I would say it's fine guys that you talk about on Baseball Reference. How do you hit with 2 strikes? How do you do with men in runners position? I don't give a hell how you do when you're up 15-1 or when there's no one on base. How do you do when there's runners in scoring position? How do you do with 2 outs? How do you do with 1 strike? Guys,
to speak to that, look at what DJ LeMahieu had done the last 2 years, and there would be obviously after you reward him with a nice contract, no reason to think he's going to have an OPS 100 points lower this year. That killed the Yankees. It really did. He was as bad as anybody on this team. And the difference between him and a lot of these guys, he finished well below expectations this year, way below somebody like Urshela, Gary. I think the only guy who had a worse season, who played a full season, is Gleyber Torres, and he obviously needs to be sent away.
Don't listen. If this is the
to wherever prison, another team, I don't care.
Listen, if this is what the Yankees
not prison, we like Gleyber, but he's got to go somewhere. He's got to go somewhere else.
Don't choose to give the big shortstop contract. Then it's Gio playing short, DJ playing third, and Gleyber playing second with Rizzo at first.
No, listen.
Here's I'm saying that's what the Yankees.
No, I know. Right. But here, look. That's the problem. Is this idea that we'll just stick this guy here? No, God, stop that. Gio Urshela has established himself as an elite level third baseman.
Oh no, I agree with you. I'm just saying,
right?
Their thought.
Why are we moving him to short when we just moved the guy to short that couldn't play short, only to move the Gold Glove winning second baseman off of second base? I don't understand that for the life of me. Gleyber Torres needs to be traded. Plain and simple. Gleyber Torres cannot be on the Yankees next year. There's something wrong with him. Whether that power ever comes back or not, it's been far too long here. Let him move on and do it somewhere else if it's going to happen for him. And we'll feel terrible about it. Maybe we can get him back when he's 30. I don't know.
Well,
I'm fine with that.
it wasn't the results we were expecting. Bravo and congratulations to the Boston Red Sox on advancing on your season.
At least those Red Sox fans have been super classy about the win.
Are you being sarcastic?
Have you seen a lot of stupid? All I've seen is
Whatever.
Honestly, you would have thought they just won the 7th game of the World Series. That's what I'm seeing from these Red Sox fans.
Well,
and
listen,
if they're excited about winning the wild card, God bless you.
Nah, it's just
anytime you
frustrating.
can beat the Yankees,
Yeah.
you rub it in a little deeper. Listen, I would do the same thing.
Nah, I would keep it cool. Yeah, I know. Wild and Fury are part 3. I'll be at work. Who cares? So Fury can win in 5 rounds. Anyways, we were expecting big things.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, right. We were expecting big things for the New York Yankees this postseason, but that journey has abruptly came to an end. Last night we saw a lot of Bucky freaking Dent. We were hoping for a Bucky freaking Dent moment, but in the end, we don't get there was no touchdowns. We get Phil freaking Nevin on a bonehead call that could have changed the complexity of that whole game. But the Yankees got to go back once again to the drawing boards, boys and girls. It's another frustrating and disappointing results to the New York Yankees. We'll be talking more and more about the New York Yankees and what they're going to do in the future with Aaron Boone, or what are they going to be making moves to this roster. We'll be back on Friday discussing the huge week in the NFC East. Yes, the New York Giants travel to Arlington to take on the Dallas Cowboys. Breaking news also, Stephon Gilmore has a new home, is going to the Carolina Panthers. So we'll talk more about that this weekend. A lot happening, but for the baseball season, sadly, comes to an end. What are you going to do?
Good.
What are you going to do?
Damn
the Yankees. Ladies and gentlemen, we are Keys to the City. We're streaming on all social media platforms. So comment, like, subscribe, or share, or go enjoy some nice coleslaw as Joe would give us. But Clovercrest Media presents Keys to the City. We are out.
Yeah. Keys to the city, baby. When you see us, so you know you really viewing greatness in the making. Double up on facts we stating. Podcasting, cruise control, city, state, the nation. So what you saying, what we saying, prime information. Facts, keys to the city, we're unlocking the statements.
Streaming every Friday.